Hi everyone, Spiderman 1991 here to do my comics for the week. Okay, first of all, I'll kick off with the thing everyone has been talking about this week. Amazing Spider-Man 648, the start to big time. Alright, I'm going to open up with Spider-Man leading the Avengers against an army of Doc Ock's robot octopuses that are destroying New York City. And everything goes well. It's revealed that and also, Spider-Man is able to stop Doc Ock, and during the adventure, though, it's revealed that Ock is also employing Electro, Chameleon, Rhino, and Sandman, and also that Doc Ock is starting to realize that Spider-Man is actually a genius after all the years they fought, which is proven because Spidey is able to disable the alarm by changing it back to daylight savings time since it's the first Sunday of November. Well, not necessarily stop the alarm, but delay it. So the military is able to move all the Octobots out of the city and into the shore, so that way they could blow up without harming anyone. And the next day, Peter's helping Frontline out by moving in some new computer equipment since they can't pay him for any photographs. And during the moving, Mayor Jonah Jameson shows up and hands over the name of the Daily Bugle to Robbie Robinson to use so Frontline can use it. And later that afternoon, Michelle reveals that she's leaving New York City and officially moving out of the apartment, which leaves Peter homeless. And even though he's an Avenger, most of the Avengers don't know his secret identity, so he can't stash his stuff there. And he can't stay with the Fantastic Four because they're off in space or the negative zone or something. And so Peter goes through his contacts. Asks Robbie Robinson, that's no. Betty Brant, he gets her answering machine in the phone, and the battery dies. Tries to talk to Carly, but she thinks that would have them move too fast. Gets a big no from Flash Thompson. And one of my favorite parts of this is when he sees Mary Jane and they both just start laughing at the idea of living together. And when Peter's just about to throw in the tile, go back to Aunt May and say your loser nephew needs a place to stay. Can I stay here? He opens the door and there's Dr. Jameson, Mayor Jameson's wife, and she takes Peter to Horizon Labs. And while they're there, Peter meets Max Model, the head of Horizon Labs, and he shows Peter around, introduces him to two members of the think tank, and during a lab accident that tried to replicate vibranium, Peter is able to stop the accident from hurting people, and after asked a series of questions, Max decides to hire Peter as one of the members of Horizon Labs' think tanks. So then Peter's given an employee manual and his first paycheck, which he describes having so many zeros. And he goes web slinging all happy and stuff because he's finally got money. So next morning he can cash his check and check into a hotel room. But before that, he's going to spend the night reading his big employee manual. But meanwhile, in the other part of the city, Montana and the Kingpin are talking, and we learn that Kingpin sent his sight on the imperfect vibranium from Horizon Labs. And who does he hire for the job? But none other than the Hobgoblin. Alright. Okay, so this issue had the return of the Hobgoblin. What else? Peter getting a full-time job and quite possibly his own place soon. And everything else. This was a fun issue. I loved it. I really am looking forward to the rest of Big Time, and I'm really pleased, and I think that the Spider-Man title is definitely going to be back up to its former glory with Dan Slott writing it. Okay? If you haven't been reading Amazing Spider-Man in a while, definitely pick this up, because this is the perfect time to jump back on the bandwagon. Okay? Now then, my only other Marvel this week is Avengers, the Children's Crusade number 3. Where do I begin? Alright. The Young Avengers, Magneto, and Quicksilver are discussing what their next move will be regarding the revelation that the Wanda they met in the village is a Doombot. So their plan is basically to just attack and try to save Wanda, and of course Wiccan doesn't like this, so he tries to go off by himself, but Quicksilver shows up and asks him to take him with him, but then the Young Avengers get wind, and pretty much Teddy gets angry at Quicksilver for trying to manipulate Wiccan, for trying to push Wiccan into going by themselves. And later, back in New York City, the New Avengers have asked Wonder Man to help them find Wanda, but during the conversation, Logan pushes the idea that they should kill Wanda immediately when they find her because she's too unstable. Wonder Man's furious, punches Wolverine, and Wolverine leaves and decides to work on his own, and Wonder Man flies off on his own to find Wanda. But meanwhile, Wiccan, late in the night, decides to just go ahead and leaves a note, teleports to Latveria, goes to Doom's castle. He's able to trick the Doombots, and he's able to find Wanda Maximoff, but unfortunately she has no memory of her life as the Scarlet Witch, no memory of Magneto or Quicksilver, the Avengers, none of that. And she reveals that she's getting married tomorrow morning to Victor Von Doom. Okay, Avengers, the Children's Crusade. I would say this story is really starting to become more about Wiccan than it is about the Young Avengers as a team. That's really well, this issue is more Wiccan focused. I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe this story was starting to be more of a focus on him than the Young Avengers or the New Avengers or the team in particular. Still, I am enjoying this series. I love the Young Avengers. They're definitely one of my favorite Marvel teams. Pick this up if you've been following the series. Alright, moving right along to DC. Red Robin, number 17. In Hong Kong, Cassandra Cain kicks a mugger's ass. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And she speaks to Tim, and Tim speaks to her about how she's not wearing the costume anymore, and tells her that Bruce is back. The Bat Family's sort of calming down, getting together, and he offers her old Batgirl costume, but she says that there's already a Batgirl and that Stephanie Brown needs it. But then Tim tells her, look, call yourself Batchick or Black Robin or whatever, but don't forget you have family in Gotham and stuff. So after she leaves, Tim thinks that she kept the suit. Good. And the next day, Tim buys the theater where Bruce went and saw Night of Zorro before, the theater on Crime Alley. And he speaks to one of his friends. Speaks to Lonnie, aka Anarchy, about keeping tabs on all the criminal activities and about all the crime groups on the internet, so that he could have sort of an online interweb of connections, basically. Then Red Robin frees hopefully that he can get her trust and he could use her in his sort of network of connections. And Tim kind of considers her to be his Catwoman, and she runs off. And in the end, though, we get a nice moment with Tim and Bruce kind of recapping to each other. They hug, and they decide. And Tim and Bruce just kind of fly off into the night. Okay, Red Robin number 17 was pretty good, I guess. I mean, it's kind of like Tim kind of had the idea of forming an international network to keep an eye on things, kind of before Batman Incorporated, but he's doing a good job, and I like that. I don't know why, but it works for Tim, not so much for Bruce. Guess that's because he's been a loner all his life, and Tim's been more about friends. But I did like the moment in the end with Bruce and Tim about when he came back. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed Red Robin. Okay, Batman: Return of Bruce Wayne, number 6. Let me be honest with you here. The fire kind of died down. The fire for me for this series kind of died down after that whole month delay. Bruce is in the vanishing point. Robots pretty much give him a new suit and explain what's going on. Then the Time Masters show up cyborg possessed Batman steals the time sphere because apparently Rip Hunter left the keys in it. That was lame. Bruce returns in the present day, fights off the Justice League, but apparently, and also the Time Masters are able to get out of Vanishing Point because of a time sphere that was under by using a time sphere that was under construction. And they're trying to fight, and Tim's able to stall the cyborg Batman, but as he gets closer to the cowl, the cowl that was in prehistoric time starts to emit Omega energy. Basically, it's a bomb, or doomsday weapon if you prefer. And then it's revealed that that Batman's possessed by some sort of hyper adapter, and it's kind of starting to take everyone out. But Wonder Woman and Superman are able to weaken it. Batman's able to rip it off. He asks everyone to throw it in the time sphere, which is preset for prehistoric times, and then it manifests itself there. And thankfully the League is able to revive Bruce Wayne, and in the end he just decides Bruce is back and thinks that one of the most important first truth of Batman is that he was never alone and he had help. And in the final page, Bruce says to himself that he's not done yet, not while Gotham needs Batman, and the night's not over yet. And he's getting ready to put the cowl on. Okay, Batman Returned Bruce Wayne. Well, the grace period, nothing left to say now except I'm glad it's finally over. Okay, I'm glad that Bruce Wayne is back and that we can have him as Batman again. And there will be two more series coming out that will feature Bruce as Batman, while Dick Grayson will also still be Batman, but he'll have Detective Comics, Batman and Robin, Batman Streets of Gotham. If you ask me, they should have just, instead of creating new titles for Bruce, well, except Batman Incorporated, because that was its own idea, but they should have just gave like half the titles to Bruce and half the titles to Dick. I mean, that would have made so much more sense. I didn't think it was a good... I didn't think that was a good idea, just to create more books. They should have just kind of, alternated the titles, maybe between Batman, but whatever, I have no actual say in that, but still. The two titles that are coming out are Batman Incorporated, where Bruce goes around the world, and the other one is Batman the Dark Knight, which is going to be have Bruce and Batman Bruce Wayne in Gotham City, but dealing with more supernatural elements. I'm going to be getting Batman the Dark Knight because it's Bruce Wayne back. It's what I wanted. Bruce Wayne as Batman in Gotham City. That's my real reason for getting it. But now apparently it's been delayed and it won't be out till December, which is unfortunate since Batman Incorporated comes out next week. Even though I like Grant Morrison on writing Bruce Wayne, it's still the concept keeps me from buying that book. Alright, well, that's all I have to say. Again, Batman Bruce Wayne number 6. You don't really need to get it since it's practically been spoiled anyway, because of everything else that came out. But get it anyway, just to complete the series. Red Robin, okay, like the moment with Bruce and Tim in the end. Avengers Children's Crusade, get it if you love Young Avengers. And Amazing Spider-Man Big Time 648. Must have for all Spider-Man fans. Get it. Get back on the big time bandwagon. Dan Slott is a good writer for Amazing Spider-Man. Okay? Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.